Welcome everybody to Tonyrealthegod Chronicles. Glad y'all can make it, man. Welcome back to the show. I have a great story for y'all, a great show for y'all. Not story, but show. All right. It's about the Mohenjo Daro. Okay. It's actually a place, a very ancient place. And it's about pretty much, I'm going to be talking to y'all about the mythical catastrophic event that supposedly happened at this territory. And just to let y'all know, okay, this civilization was one of the first civilization called the Dasa people, a name given by the historians or whatever you want to call the invaders because they did not know their names. And they were of colored people. Us. I just want to let y'all, I just couldn't wait. I just had to throw it out there. And they were way ahead of their time. Way ahead of their time when it came to technology, when it came to advancement. All right. So it's a early, okay, one of the first early civilizations in South Asia. And they were invaded by the Aryan warriors, a very barbaric, set of people who scoured lands and conquered lands anywhere they wanted. Massacres, murdered millions, thousands. And when they got to this piece of land, this civilization decided to fight back. So just to give y'all a little bit more, insight on who these Aryan warriors was, I have a clip that y'all can watch. And then we'll get to the article. All right, y'all? Don't forget, y'all, to follow me on all my platforms. Unfortunately, it's just TikTok and Twitter right now because I'm not doing any other platform. I'm just not. All right, and don't forget, man, hit me up on that Cash App, man, right there above my head, man. # Big Tony Main. Support the channel, man. Support the channel. Excuse me, y'all. I'm just kind of getting over, a little cold, so excuse me for the cough and all that stuff. So I'll get right to it, y'all. I know I didn't explain much. I just pretty much just gave you a little bit of what I got. So I'll just let the video talk, and then I'll let the article speak. All right, y'all? So here's the video. Check it out.
Someone said, quote, "All the human culture, all the results of art, science, and technology are almost exclusively the creative product of the Arya. He alone was the founder of all higher humanity. It was he who laid the foundations and erected the walls of every great structure in human culture." Unquote. Clearly, this man is talking about the Aryas. And this man is Adolf Hitler. Hitler and his followers, the Nazis, justified their crimes, the Holocaust, killing millions of Jews, because they believed that Aryas were a truly superior race and that they were the descendants of this ancient noble race. They adopted the swastika as their symbol. Now, while the swastika still terrifies people all around the world, in India it remains, like it has for millennia, a very beloved holy symbol. And this is where the connection starts, because India is one of the only places where civilization has continued on, uninterrupted, since the time the Aryas lived here. So who were the Aryas? Some believe that they were the Nordics, and I'm bringing this theory up first because this theory should be thrown out of the window first. Another evidence points towards the area which is now Iran. In fact, the term Arya has a cognate in the Persian language, Iran. This word actually is the source of the modern country name, Iran. Persian kings like Darius the Great and Xerxes have been described in historical records as Aryas of Arya stock. This most likely refers to the original Aryas coming from Central Asia, and this leads us to the idea that Aryas might originally have been from the Eurasian steppes. This is where the Germans got their ideas from. Truth is, it's not easy to get to the facts. One of the reliable pieces of information we do have is from the time they arrived in India. While some historians argue that they might have been native to India, evidence suggests they were definitely not native to India and that they arrived somewhere from the north. Rakhigadi, by the way, is a pre-Aryan site. What evidence, so what records do we have? Actually, hardly any. But there's one thing which, although not exactly contemporary, it is still a source, and that is the Rig Veda. Rig Veda is one of the oldest written texts that we have from this time, not just in India, but in the entire world. It is largely a religious book and was not meant as a history, and it's not even contemporary, but it was recorded by the Aryas themselves and is an extremely precious, unique, and pure source of what it tells us about the earliest history of India, origins of Indian society, and religion as they are today. So, what does the Rig Veda really tell us about the Aryas? Well, around 3000 BC, a group of people descended onto the land that lies between the tributaries of the river Indus. They came with their families with the aim of finding a new home to settle down into. Their systems and society were fully developed, and the land that they found near River Indus was amazing for them, and they decided to settle here. They later gave it the name of Sapta Sindhu. These people were tall, fair skinned, prominent nosed, proud people who called themselves Aryas. We know this because in the Rig Veda they refer to themselves as Aryas. The Aryas spread quickly, occupying one district after another of this land, burning and clearing away dense forests, creating habitable land, establishing cities and dynasties along its sparkling rivers, while chanting their sacred hymns. However, do not comfortably imagine that they found a kind, submissive, open armed welcome into this land, because this land already had inhabitants, and they did not want these pretty new invaders just waltzing in. The Aryas faced stout resistance from the natives who were already living here and who pushed back on every inch of land the Aryas set foot on. This conflict between the invaders and the natives turned into generations of hard battles and competition for control of this land. The Aryas called these natives Dasa. The Aryas record in the Rig Veda about these original inhabitants of India as being dark-skinned, Krishnatwach, snub-nosed, Anasa, of unsweet-sounding grunt-like speech and worshipping phallic emblems. Their language was unsophisticated and brutish, their manners and habits were crude, their religion was unrefined, they didn't perform sacrifices, and they looked scarcely human. The Aryas gave it all away from the name they gave to the natives, Dasa, which comes from the root word das, which means waste or garbage. The Dasas, despite such an impassioned rhetoric meant to dehumanize them by the Aryas, were actually not so barbaric and unworthy after all. They were skilled, they were good architects because they had built numerous strong fortified towns. The Dasas even had considerable wealth, and some of the names of their kings have been demonized in the Rig Veda. That is, when you read the names of these demons in the Rig Veda, they were not actually demons, they were just the kings of the local Dasa clans. The Dasas were also good warriors because they otherwise would not have been able to resist and thwart the Arya expansion for 25 generations. So now let's come back to who were the Aryas and where did they come from. We definitely know that the Aryas came from the north. Their exact identity, I'm afraid to say, is lost, at least until now. Sadly, even the Aryas themselves don't tell us where they originally came from. There is evidence that they were from Europe. In fact, at one point in his work, Patanjali, the father of yoga, says that Pingal Keshini or Hiranya Keshini, that is blonde hair, is one of the essential qualities in a true Brahmana. But this statement raises more questions than it answers. However, for any Indian to assume that we definitely are their descendants, well, the genes got too mixed up over the last 4 to 5,000 years. There were Aryas, then there were many local tribes, then there were invasions from Macedonians under Alexander the Great, from Central Asians, from Mongols, from Afghans, from British. So we cannot claim that we are Aryas any more than we can claim that we are Mongols or British. We do know that all of this started when the Aryas left their homeland and came down. And why did they do that? Well, why does one leave their home when they are not nomads? And Aryas were not nomads. And this question is more than what it seems. This is where the whole point why this whole story begins that changed the course of Indian history and human history starts. I'll answer this question soon.
Sorry, y'all, my mic was off. All right, so I see that hope y'all got a clue of who these Aryans was and why they invaded this peaceful civilization that was pretty much minding their own fucking business. And as you can see, they called them Dasa. Dasu, Dasa, Das. Pretty much everything she named on down that list, and pretty much overall trash. Called our people garbage because we were dark-skinned people. Our ancestors, basically. I'm going to say that they were European. Either they were European or they were, excuse me, either they were European or they were, European. I gotta say, y'all, that this is pretty much a very valuable, you know what I'm saying, this is a very valuable lesson to learn on what happened to a lot of the early civilizations. And most of the early civilizations, were our people, dark-skinned people, I don't have any, as far as I don't have any favoritism or anything like that, but I do, feel that, that black people should be better respected, by history, through history. It's really unfortunate that, that these, ancient people, these people were civilized people ruling their own territory and minding their business, not expanding to hurt or destroy anyone else, but they were peaceful where they were. And they were invaded by foreigners who wanted their lands, who scurried all through other lands and destroyed and killed and pillaged, killed children, women and children, babies, just destroying and complete destruction in their path. But this one civilization fought back. And when I say fought back. And that is what I gotta say, that it was so astonishing to hear that this civilization did not back down, did not decide to let a foreign civilization come and take their land. And that lets you know that there is fight in us. There is no weakness in our blood. There's no weakness in your blood. We stood and fight. Our ancestors stood and fight and fought for their land and did it for 25 generations. Today, the land, well, it looks beautiful, but it's not the same as you can see on the screen. I know y'all can see it right there. Sorry, finger wrong way. Right here, y'all. I know y'all can see it right there on the screen. This is what used to be the beautiful South Asian land of the Dasa people. Ancestors. Black ancestors. This is what's left. Right there on the screen, as you can see. But it still looks beautiful. Like it hadn't even been touched. And I got to say, I have to try to plan me a trip so I can go and see this land. And I'm really glad that, I did this research, learning about one of the first early civilizations in South Asia were, my people. We were everywhere. And they were way ahead of their time. They were very fortified. They were great, engineers, great architects. They knew how to build. They were strong, fortified, prepared. They knew how to fight and defend. And that's what's beautiful about this information. That's what's beautiful about this show today. It's what we are learning about our ancestors and who these people were and the type of things that they had to come up against to survive against people that were savage beasts and did not care of their peace, wanted their land, thought that the way they were living was stupid, but their savage living was perfect. I disagree, Aryans. I disagree. So, You know what time it is, people? Article time. Let's get to that article, huh? Come on, y'all. Let's get it. So I actually been waiting to read the article because I'm pretty sure y'all are ready to see this article, man. And I'm ready to see this article. I'm ready to get it done. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready for y'all to get this information, man. The show may not be long, but at least you got enough of this information. All right. And if you want to look further into this information about the Dasa people, this civilization, you are welcome to do so. Oh, and one more thing, y'all. I gotta get it. Yep. So I wrote some notes. Now, the event leading toward the destruction of this land, okay, was very, very, very catastrophic. Because not only were the Dasa people destroyed, but also the Aryans. All right? So, before I even give you that, let's get to the article. And then I'll tell you my little information I have here on how these people were catastrophically destroyed by an ancient piece of technology, somewhat of a weapon. All right? So just let's read the article and be right back. Let's go, y'all. Let's get this article. Y'all. All right, so here's the article, y'all. So let me just go ahead and fix this here so that y'all can, get all this in right here. Okay. So if you want to know anything about this research, you can find this article on www.penn.museum, all right, or /sites expedition / the Mythical Massacre at Mohenjo Daro, okay, or Daro if you can't say it the correct way. All right, if you want to look into this article and read more about this ancient city. So this is the article, y'all. The Mythical Massacre of Mohenjo Daro. All right. So, and it also has a PDF as well right here, y'all. You see it lighting up right there. Has a PDF right here that you can click on and it opens up. You can read about it. It gives you about maybe 6.5 pages where you can read a little bit more about it. Or you can download it and save it to your laptop or your phone or your desktop computer. Whatever's good for you. All right. Other than that, you can just read this article here. So this article was written by George F. Dales. He's the author of this article. So we'll start off reading this introduction, and then we'll get to pretty much the reading of this article. So let's go, y'all. So it says here, nothing delights the archaeologist more than excavating the ruins from some ancient disaster, be it a flood, earthquake, invasion, or massacre. This does not reflect an inordinately ghoulish tendency in the character of archaeologists. It is simply that a much more complete picture of the life and times of an ancient site is preserved if it was the victim of some quick, devastating disaster than if it had just died a slow natural death, had been abandoned or remodeled. All right. Says here the classic example of the rewards that we can reap as the result of an ancient natural disaster is Pompeii, where the eruption of these excuse me, y'all. I told you I just got over a bad cold. Eruption of Vesuvius, preserved for excuse me, y'all. Preserved for posterity, a full-scale, authentic model of daily life in an ancient Roman town. If y'all know the story of Pompeii, that's when that volcano erupted on that island, killing that entire civilization. Most of them did not make it out alive. It was said that some of them did, but from records that I have researched, no one made it off that island alive. So y'all might want to look into the destruction of Pompeii as well. But more popular with historians are disasters that can be blamed on mankind itself. Scholars and laymen alike have always delighted in being able to boo and hiss the evil villain, the murderous invader, the barbarian hordes. Only the approach is different. The one flicks on the Late Show. The other writes learned footnotes. Right here, one of the most enigmatic, excuse me, y'all, wide units of iniquity concerns the decline and fall of the Indus Valley. The Harappan civilization. Remains of this vast civilization of South Asia are scattered over an area. So, right here, this, y'all can't see it, probably got light up. This picture sitting right to your right. The very first one, this first picture sitting to your right is what is being shown. And beneath it says the Buddhist stupa of the ancient citadel of Mohenjo Daro. So it's that first picture to your right, y'all. All right. So, excuse me. So I'll continue right here. Remains this vast civilization of South Asia are scattered over an area considerably larger than those covered by either ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia. The life cycle of this third major experiment in the origin and development of the world's earliest civilization is at present highly speculative and is the subject of increasingly intensive investigation by archaeologists, historians, linguists, and natural scientists alike. Let me scroll up just a little bit, y'all. It is now apparent that a reevaluation is necessary of some of the earlier theories that have come to form over the past 30 years, the basic structural members in the framework of early South Asian history. It is especially necessary to call for a retrial concerning the placing of guilt for the demise of the Indus civilization. Now that's crazy. They're trying to, they're putting this early, ancient time period on trial for the massacre of this civilization. As if it really matters at this point, because this was before any of our time. But hey, this is what people do with power. They gotta blame somebody, right? Evidence was published some 30 years ago suggesting that Mohenjo Daro, the southernmost of the two major cities of the Harappans, was destroyed by armed invaders, and that the hapless victims, including a large percentage of women and children, were massacred on the spot. The excavators of Mohenjo Daro were content, at least at first, to put the blame for the massacres on several disassociated causes and incidents. Of course, blame someone else, but don't blame yourself. Of course, this is what they do. It says the massacre idea immediately ignited and has been used as a torch up to the present day by some historians, linguists, and archaeologists as visible, awful proof of the invasion of the subcontinent by the Aryans. What? They said that it's awful proof. Clearly in the video, it explained to you how they tried to take this land, the Aryans. But they're saying that it's awful proof to blame the Aryans. Let's read that one more time. The massacre idea immediately ignited and has been used as a torch up to the present day by some historians, linguists, and archaeologists as visible, awful proof of the invasion of the subcontinent by the Aryans. So basically, they're trying to say that It wasn't their fault. Yeah, okay. It provided a seemingly pat answer to one of the most vexing questions in South Asian history. The arrival into northern India of the Aryans, the eastern branch of the vast Indo-European language family. Right here, okay. Heralded the beginning of the historical era in South Asia. The social and religious life of the times is described in detail in the hymns of the Sanskrit Rig Veda, the earliest book known in India. Y'all make sure y'all check that out. And right here to the right of the screen, you see this here, this little small map here, small map of the region right here of the Dasa people. Right there to the right of the screen, y'all, right up there. Y'all check that out. All that land was theirs right there until it was invaded and destroyed by fools. All right. So, the Vedic hymns describe the principal god Indra, or Indra, if y'all can't say it, as the fort destroyer who rends forts as age consumes a garment or garment and attacking the fortress of the Dasu. So it says right here in parentheses, y'all, this name applied to the non-Aryan enemies, be they mortal or supernatural. So they looked very strange to the Aryans because the way they lived, they didn't look human. You know, more than likely they wore masks or something. They looked like something of a terror to them. They were afraid. That's why they felt they need to get rid of them. Any reason to mess with a civilization that's not bothering you. Wow. Indra is specifically described as setting fire to the buildings. So here's an example. In the kindled fire, he burnt up all their weapons and made him rich with kine and carts and horses. Okay. All right. So it says here, y'all, the text describe how the Aryan warriors were protected by armor and shields. In addition to the bow and arrow, the chief weapon, they used javelin, axe, and sword. Horses were common, but were probably used to pull the chariots rather than for riding. So as you can see right here, this picture right here in the front of the screen, y'all, this is the city. It says here, panoramic view of Mohenjo Daro with the citadel on the horizon. This is the once beautiful city. Right here, y'all. The once beautiful city. Mohenjo Daro. Wow. Here we go. It seems logical to assume that as Sir I'm sorry, everybody. As Sir Mortimer Wheeler put it, Indra stands accused of destroying the cities of the Harappan civilization and of the responsibility for the massacre of Mohenjo Daro. Apart from a few dissenting comments and rather obscure publications, the general literature on the subject current today still repeats vivid dramatic descriptions of the barbarian hordes descending upon the once great and proud cities of the Indus civilization. And you know what? Hey, all ups to them on that. They need that bloodline needs to be charged. Whoever's a part of that bloodline, their ancestors need to be charged for this because this was slaughter. This was completely and utterly wrong. And I'm not saying that just because that this civilization were black people. I'm saying it because these people were at peace. They weren't bothering anybody. They were chilling. They were chilling. So it says here, for example, the Indus cities fell to barbarians who triumphed not only through greater military prowess, but also because they were equipped with better weapons and had learnt to make full use of the swift and terror-striking beast of the steppes. All right, so if y'all want to check that out and look that little example quote up, you can. That little information right there, you can. And go and check that out. Go find, right here in parentheses, i.e. the horse, Basham 27. You can go and look that up and check that out, man. Let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget, man, to subscribe to your boy Tonyrealthegod, man. All right, y'all. All right. Let's continue, y'all. Here we go with the next piece. It is still premature to talk in terms of absolute dates. The entire chronology of South Asia down to the 6th century BC is a web of pluses and minuses and hundreds of years. So on purely chronology grounds, we cannot even establish a definite correlation between the end of the Indus civilization and the Aryan invasion. Wow, it's such a mystery, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Such a mystery. But even if we could, what is the material evidence to substantiate the supposed invasion and massacre? Where are the burnt fortresses, the arrowheads, weapons, pieces of armor, the smashed chariots, and bodies of the invaders and defenders? Despite the intensive excavations at the largest Harappan sites, there is not a single bit of evidence that can be brought forth as unconditional proof of an armed conquest and destruction on the supposed scale of the Aryan invasion. Makes y'all wonder, huh? Yeah, makes y'all wonder, huh? Yeah. Now, like I said, I agree that bloodline, that ancient bloodline, need to be blamed. That ancient people, the Aryans, need to be blamed for bothering this civilization and trying to destroy the civilization. But the kicker is basically no evidence, y'all. So what really happened to them, y'all? So let's keep going. It is interesting that Sir John Marshall himself, the director of the Mohenjo Daro excavations that first revealed the massacre remains, separated the end of the Indus civilization from the time of the Aryan invasion by 2 centuries. He attributed the slayings to bandits from the hills west of the Indus who carried out sporadic raids on an already tired, decaying, and defenseless civilization. Wow. See, they don't even know what happened to these people. So the image right on your screen, y'all. You see that? The image right on your screen. Right here at the bottom of that picture says the so-called massacre in HR area, room 74 of House V. This is one of the areas in the place where these people were living, and this is their skeletons where they were excavating, and they uncovered all these skeletons. All right, let's continue, y'all. It says, what of these skeletal remains that have taken on such undeserved importance? 9 years of extensive excavations at Mohenjo Daro, 1922 through 1931, a city about 3 miles in circuit, yielded the total of some 37 skeletons or parts thereof that can be attributed with some certainty to the period of the Indus civilization. Some of these were found in contorted positions and groupings that suggest anything but orderly burials. Many are either my throat, y'all. Woo. Excuse me, y'all. Woo. Many are either disarticulated or incomplete. They were all found in the area of the lower town, probably the residential district. Not a single body was found within the area of the fortified citadel, where one could reasonably expect the final defense of the thriving capital city to have been made. Mystery, y'all, mystery. It would be foolish to assert that the scattered skeletal remains represent an orderly state of affairs. But since there is no conclusive proof that they all even belong to the same period of time, they cannot justifiably be used as proof of a single tragedy. Part of this uncertainty results from the unsatisfactory methods used by the excavators to record and publish their finds. But even allowing for this serious methodological shortcoming, it is possible to reevaluate the published evidence and to come to some definite conclusions concerning the massacre myth. Yeah, wow. The massacre myth. They call it a myth. You know what a myth is, don't y'all? I hope y'all know what a myth is. I don't call it a myth, though. This happened, but no one knows how it happened. Let's keep going. I'm sorry, y'all. Just kill the mosquito. I like mosquitoes. Got in my dang house. But anyway. So, says here, y'all, the most celebrated group of skeletons, the photograph of which is usually published to provide visible proof of the massacre, was found in the area of Room 74, House V. The interpretation of this grisly discovery was not even agreed upon by the excavators themselves. Mr. Hargreaves, who did the actual excavating, states that because 4 of the 14 skeletons were found above the ruins of the southern wall of the room, the entire group belongs to a date subsequent to the decay of the building and thus to a period posterior to the abandonment of the latest stage of the city. Marshall, the over excuse me, y'all. Marshall, the overall director of the excavations, says, on the other hand, this does not seem to be proven. They just can't figure it out, y'all. They just can't figure it out. He points out that the building belongs to the intermediate period of the city, that this entire area was covered over and rebuilt in the late period. Wow. It says the assumed late period remains were not preserved at this part of the city. It is probably they had eroded away. That's his theory. Marshall suggests that the skeletons could belong to the eternal interval between the intermediate and late periods. Though the possibility of their being posterior to the late period may be admitted, he also disagrees with Hargreaves over the circumstances that produced this gruesome spectacle. Hargreaves stated, with questionable excuse me, y'all, my dang on throat. Excuse me, y'all. I do apologize about that, y'all. Okay. Hargreaves stated with questionable perspicacity that 14 bodies appear to indicate some tragedy. Furthermore, he observed that the twisted, intermingled positions of the bodies are those likely to be assumed in the agony of death, that those of a number of corpses thrown into a room. Marshall read the evidence differently. He believed that the bodies were intentionally interred within a few hours of death, or else they would have been prey for animals and birds. There is no reason whatever for doubting that these burials date from the declining years of Mohenjo Daro's prosperity, stated Marshall. This is what Mr. Marshall said. But he didn't suggest they represent any final massacre of the population. See, they still can't figure it out. And this is the photo right here, y'all. Group of skeletons in room 74. They don't know. They don't know, y'all. See his picture? Right here on the screen, y'all. They don't know. They do not know. Let's continue with the readings. So it says here, during the removal of the thick accumulation of debris covering a courtyard of the intermediate period, House 3 HR area, incomplete remains of 3 skeletons were found. Their location in the debris shows, however, that they did not belong to the time of the courtyard, but to some time after it had fallen into desuce. And had been filled in, possibly in preparation for the buildings in the late period. The excavator suggests that it represents a late funerary deposit and doesn't intimidate. I'm sorry, y'all, my dang throat, man. And doesn't intimate any connection with the final massacre of the city's population. Those who have so stated have misread the archaeological evidence. Oh, wow. They say, you're wrong. No, I'm right. You're wrong. No, you're wrong. I'm right. Just constant argument, man. Constant argument. One reads about the slaughtered hairpins who lay unburied amid their streets. This melodramatic description was prompted in part by the reported find of 6 skeletons in a lane between 2 houses in the VS area of Mohenjo Daro. And yet, the excavator stated in his report that from their position, they appear to be posterior to the adjacent remains. They were covered with loose earth from bricks and other debris that would indicate any violent destruction. There is no suggestion in the report that they were lying on the actual street surface. Marshall suggests again that they were probably burials of the late period that just accidentally penetrated down between the building walls bordering the lane itself having been long before covered over. Had the skeletons really been found directly on the street's surface, there would still be no case for a final massacre because the lane belongs to the immediate period of the city. They still don't know, y'all. And here's the street view right here. Right here, y'all. Look at that. The carts used today were exactly like the ancient clay models. Wow. Beautiful city. All right, y'all. Let's go, y'all. Dead Man's Lane in the HR area of the city was the scene of another well-publicized but mythical street slaughter. One fragmentary skeleton, part of a skull, the bones of the thorax, and the upper arm of an adult was found lying on its back diagonally across the narrow lane, but this incomplete skeleton was not resting directly on the walking surface of the lane. It appears to have been in the debris that accumulated between the walls of the building facing the lane sometime after the lane had fallen into disuse or desus. However that fucking word go, y'all. I don't know. Y'all tell me. The lane itself belongs to the intermediate period of the city. This area was rebuilt during the late period and houses covered the location of the earlier lane. The excavator suggests that this partial skeleton was interred under the floor of a house of the late period. Thus, it was just accidentally located in the proximity of the lane and was not associated with it at all. They still don't know, y'all. They still don't know. Another celebrated group of victims consists of 9 skeletons that lay in strangely contorted attitudes and crowded together. Block 10A DK area. Ernest McKay, the excavator, expressed considerable doubt about the date of these remains. They were reportedly found at a level corresponding to the early part of the intermediate period for convenience sake. McKay termed the find spot a burial pit, although he admitted that he noticed no definite walls for the pit, nor any traces showing that the area had been dug. Only two objects were found with the skeletons: an ivory comb that is not like the no hairpin period combs, and a copper bracelet. On the evidence of the bracelet, McKay dates the remains to the period of the occupation of the city. The technical report on the skeletal remains states that they probably do not represent a massacre per se because many of the skeletons were incomplete, represented by only a few fragments of cranium and odd bits of bone. Ooh, man. Yep, there it is right here. Picture right here, y'all. Look at that. Look at that, y'all. There it is. Wow. Woo. Look at that. Another picture. Another picture. Here it is. Yeah. Now this picture it looks like it was melted or some stuff, man. Look, it was melted. You see that? You can tell something looks melted or not, y'all. I know y'all can tell now. It looks melted. Like something nuclear or something hit it. Let's keep going. We almost there, y'all. Oh, yes. All right. Here we go, y'all. McKay suggests that these were the remains of a family who tried to escape from the city with their belongings at the time of a raid but were stopped and slaughtered by the raiders. Their bodies were then thrown pell-mell into a hurriedly made pit. He says it is quite possible that the tragedy took place in the final period of the city, but can offer no supporting evidence. That at least 5 of the 9 skeletons were of children prompted the anthropologist who studied the remains to conclude that the raiders nursed a consistent hatred of the people of Mohenjo Daro as a whole, and total examination appears to have been their endeavor. Finally, in bringing this rather macabre account to an end, mention must be made of the lone bit of evidence from Mohenjo Daro that could conceivably be used as positive evidence of some murderous tragedy during the late period of the city, and what we might call the well-room tragedy. 2 skeletons were found on a flight of stairs, evidently lying where they died in a vain endeavor with their last remaining strength to climb the stairs to the street. But the circumstances surrounding this tragedy were known, and it would be presumptuous to cry massacre on this bit of evidence alone. So, yeah, surrounding this tragedy are unknown, y'all. Wow, again. Thus stands the evidence in the case against Indra and the Aryans, or to be less specific, against the idea of a final massacre by whomever you prefer. My throat, y'all. The contemporary excuse me, y'all. The contemporaneity excuse me, y'all. The contemporaneity of the skeletal remains excuse me, is anything but certain, whereas a couple of them definitely seem to represent a slaughter in situ. The bulk of bones were found in context, suggesting burials of the slopiest and most irreverent nature. This is no destruction level covering the latest period of the city, no sign of extensive burning, no bodies of warriors clad in armor and surrounded by the weapons of war, no citadel, the only fortified part of the city, yielded no evidence of a final defense. Wow. Nothing, y'all. No evidence of anything. of anything, no signs of war or nothing, like nothing. Crazy, right? So here we go, y'all. Let's get right here now. The evidence that is being gathered by present investigators from various branches of the natural and physical sciences is tending to support in part the theory expressed years ago by McKay regarding the decay of Mohenjo Daro and the Harappan civilization. He suspected the cause to be the vagaries of excuse me, y'all, of the Indus rather than pressure by invaders of whose existence we have, in fact, little positive evidence. The details of the story of the decline and fall of the Indus civilization are as yet far from clear, but a pattern of contributing factors in taking shape. This pattern does not include invasion and massacre as basic factors. On the contrary, it appears that a series of natural disasters occurred, possibly as swiftly, certainly more devastating than any hypothetical invasion. A sudden rise in the Arabian Sea coastline of West Pakistan apparently took place sometime around the middle of the second millennium BC. This resulted in a disastrous increase in the already serious floods in the major river valleys, with the subsequent rise of the underground water table, contributing to an increase in the soil salinity to the point where it was impossible to sustain the population of the vast urban settlements. The economy must have decayed rapidly. The Harappans were forced to migrate gradually to more fertile territory. Okay, so as you can see, this guy right here, the picture to your right on the screen, everybody, right there, he's right there in one of the foundations of one of the homes where they were living. This civilization here. It's still beautiful to me. All right, here we go. So it says there is now incontrovertible archaeological evidence that the major population shift was to the southeast into the area of the Kathiawar Peninsula, north of Bombay. It's Peninsula, north of Bombay. Here are the Harappans mingled with other indigenous populations, and gradually there was a complete absorption and transformation of the remnants of the formerly great Harappans culture into that we are coming to recognize as a distinctive Chalcolithic culture of central India. The former capitals of Mohenjo Daro and Harappa were virtually abandoned and became easy prey for bandits from the Balchistan Hills. The enemy of the Harappans was nature, aided and abetted by the Harappans themselves, who accelerated the the spoliation of the landscape through improper irrigation practices and by denuding the watersheds through organizing, overgrazing, and deforestation. They would have eventually put themselves out of business through such malpractices, just as the Sumerians did in southern Mesopotamia, but the process was speeded up by a sardonic twist of the Earth's surface. Thus ended one of the three earliest civilizations of antiquity. Indra and the barbarian hordes are exonerated. Of course they exonerated the barbarian hordes. You know what I mean? Of course they did that. So right here, this picture where this guy is, as y'all can see the screen, it's like a little piece right here. George F. Dales is an assistant curator in charge of the museum's new section of South Asia archaeology. He received his PhD in Oriental Studies. Okay, well, if y'all want to read that, y'all can. I'm not going to read that. But anyway, so that is the article. And if y'all want to read more about this article, so let me just go and show y'all the pictures once again. That's him in that one of the foundations of one of the homes. These bodies here lay waste and melted. This is melted right here. This is like goo. You know, I don't know. They're saying that they're saying that the remains are mangled and all that, but like you can't tell that something's wrong here. Look at that. Look at the surface. Look at the surface in that picture. Look at the surface. Look how it looks. Look how that looks. Wow. Wow, y'all. A great people were massacred. Can you believe it? I know it was a long article. I know it was, okay? But don't worry. If you made it this far in the video, I have a bonus clip, all right, that I'll be showing you guys, all right? And make sure you take heed into this bonus clip, all right? All right, but I want to get to this here. So scientists have tested the soil of the land where the Mohenjo Daro were living, the Dasa people. And they found that when the corpses were found and uncovered, they were covered in crystal glass. And they found a radiation level higher, right here on my notes here, a radiation level higher than 8.3. They found a radiation level higher than 8.3. You know what I'm saying? Times the none. Hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta see. This is an old piece of note, y'all. I should have did this video, y'all. So they found a radiation level higher than 8.3, okay, times the non-monazole level, okay. So this level of radiation was higher than any radiation the world has ever known. And you mean to tell me that these people in this area, the Mohenjo Daro, died of a natural disaster? But that entire area, radiation level, the readings were higher than 8.3. Sounds like to me that some sort of ancient technology nuked the hell out of these people. Doesn't seem like a natural disaster to me. If you guys want to look more into the mythical massacre of the Mohenjo Daro civilization, you are welcome to do so by all means. And y'all let me know in the comments section below about what y'all thought about the show today. And make sure y'all subscribe now. All right, subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. Hit me up on that Cash App, man. Support your boy Tonyrealthegod. Support the channel, man. All right. I really appreciate y'all watching and then coming and all this stuff like that. Y'all have been a great audience, man. Great audience. I've been seeing y'all viewing, man. I really appreciate it, man. You know, but these were an ancient people. These were my ancient people, black people, and they were destroyed by some sort of what I think an ancient weapon, because from this research, from the scientists that tested the soil and found that there was a radiation level higher than 8.3, that is pretty fucking high, y'all. Excuse my language. I'm trying to keep it professional. That is pretty high, y'all. Pretty high. Okay? You can't be possibly serious in thinking that an area with that type of radiation level, because we're not going to say God did it like a lot of you believers would. That is a weapon of mass murderous destruction. Whatever killed that civilization, it obviously wasn't the Aryans, the Indus people. It obviously wasn't them. It had to have been a civilization, an ancient, powerful civilization with a very ancient, powerful weapon. And it nuked the hell out of these people because their bodies were sealed in crystal like glass when they found the remains all over that place. See, that's what they didn't mention in this article. But I knew. That's why I wanted to tell y'all. And just about 200 or 500 miles from there, they found other remains of these Mohenjo Daro people in a cave, dead, and found the same way. Their skeletal structure and where they lay around them was like glass, crystal, and the radiation level was high. So whatever destroyed this civilization, these ancient people, it wanted them dead. So, I got to say, there's been more war than we could possibly know of. The war on us has been since the beginning of time. And it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better. I hope it does. So I'll leave y'all with that, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below, man. All right. Mess with your boy, man. Support the channel, man. Hashtag Big Tony Main. All right. So I hope y'all learned something today. If you want to look more into that information, make sure y'all go to www.penn.museum/sites/expeditions/the Mythical Massacre at Mohenjo Daro. If y'all want to read that article and read a little bit more about that, all right? So, appreciate y'all coming, man. So, here's the bonus clip. And I'm going to tell you like this here, man. When you see the bonus clip, man, come on. Make sure you be a sport, all right? Make sure you learn something from this, okay? It's going to teach you something. So, make sure you let me know what you thought about the bonus clip in the comment section below. And here's the bonus clip, man. Holla at your boy, man. Your boy is out.
The habit of buying junk fast foods that have no actual food in them. We buy gallons of poisonous household cleaners when one degradable soft soap will do. We are poisoning our homes and wasting our hard-earned money for no good reason. Why? Because the advertising industry tells us to. They just want you to buy stuff. For example, if a company pollutes the environment or uses bad business practices, if you don't buy their stuff, they will change. If you don't want food with chemicals or GMOs in it, then don't buy it. The minute we start taking responsibility and spending our money wisely, every politician, every corporation, and leader around the world is going to know that we have woken up. This is the 21st century. If we use our resources wisely, there is no reason why anyone shouldn't have what they need. There's no reason whatsoever why people are still starving to death on our planet. And the common man or woman, whether they are Israeli or Palestinian, Protestant or Catholic or Iraqi or American, the common man just wants to live in peace and justice in a clean environment. When we look around the world and we see that that is not the case, we know that the will of the majority is not being listened to. That's the first sign that our system is broken. Government won't make these changes for us. Yet again, it is down to the common man. No company will continue a practice or a product that you, the consumer, will not buy. It's vitally important that you understand this because this gives you ultimate power to change the world you live in. Companies are extremely sensitive about you buying their products because if you don't buy their stuff, they go out of business. That's not something any company is willing to consider. And by choosing to spend your money wisely,